All right. Today on the podcast, I am chatting with friend and boss babe, Haley Fountain. Give me a minute because Haley has quite the stack. Haley is from Houston. She has a bachelor's in consumer science from U of H, and she is now the director of talent in her career. But above and beyond all of that, she has a passion for wellness. And so you may know her from her blog or her Instagram, Holistic in Houston. She went on to get her certification as a holistic health coach with a specialization in hormone health, as well as your certification for yoga and meditation. Also, Haley is gorgeous. So she is a model and an actress. If you've seen her in the ads, that's Haley. Haley, you are absolutely amazing at everything you do. You have such a light. You are great at helping others. And like Wellness for Hugh, you are a pioneer for wellness in the Houston community. We love hosting events in collaboration with you, and I'm just so glad to talk all things Houston and wellness with you today. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Can you just introduce me for everything moving forward, please? That was amazing.
Yes. I really almost threw in there like holistic Barbie or like blonde to my brunette, but yeah, I know.
Can you record that? I'll play that every morning, please. Thank you.
Your morning affirmations.
Yeah.
Got you. So yeah, I'm so excited to be here with you today. I thought maybe we could kick it off with you telling us, how did we meet?
Yeah, so we met through a mutual friend. It was a friend of mine who's a Reiki practitioner, Carly, Healing with Carly, give her a plug. And she had said, oh my gosh, you have to meet this girl, Alexis. And I think she may have said the same thing to you about me.
Yes.
And so I'd like known your name, whatever. And then I think she and I had an event. I had like some kind of workshop. I think, it was called Eat to Heal. It was
chakra.
Chakra workshop and like how to eat and mindfully. And you came, and that's when we met, and we just like instantly hit it off.
Yes, I just love that it was a Reiki practitioner that told us we needed to meet because like the energy was there.
Yeah, she knew. She was like, I feel the vibes here.
And I was like, I really want to make an effort to come to your Eat to Heal chakra workshop because I had after that followed you on Instagram, and I was like, I love your content and everything you're sharing and just what you're all about. So I'm really glad I went and officially met you because now we've done so much together.
I know, it's so fun.
It's so fun. So the first question that I really want to start with, because you are in the modeling industry, is when did you start modeling? And now that you're a health coach, what have you learned from your modeling career in terms of mental health?
Yeah, so much. So I started, I'm 29 now. I started modeling at like 15 or 16.
Woo.
So 13, I've been with my agent for 13 years, but I started like freelancing before that when I was really young. So yeah, like almost 14, 15 years now.
Dang.
I can tell you, I think the biggest thing is really just like owning who you are and like the unique things that you have to give to the world. The modeling and acting talent world has changed a lot recently, but back when I started, it was very much the old school, like you need to be as thin as possible. I started more in like fashion modeling. Now I do more like lifestyle, commercial, catalog stuff, which is much more inclusive. But back then it was like be as skinny as possible. So, I mean, I specifically remember being 17 years old and a photographer taking photos of me, and she was like, you're so beautiful. Like, I think you're going to do really well. You could lose like 15 pounds, but you know, you look great.
Like where?
But I remember like at 17 years old and those formative years. So I think, and I went through a lot of stuff, and I think that and it's so weird because my modeling and acting really built up my confidence in some ways and really crushed my self-worth in other ways. But through that, in the younger years it did, but through that I learned to just really own who I am, own what I have to offer, and be really confident in that, and just accept that like I have certain gifts and certain qualities that are going to work really well to present certain items of clothing and be a good face for a certain brand. And then other people have other things, and like just really own what you have and be the best version of yourself. And that's transferred over into my health coaching, and everything that I do is just accepting that I have really great qualities, and I also have some not so great qualities, physically, mentally, everything, emotionally, as we all do, and just really owning who I am.
Right. And owning who you are and honoring what makes you unique is what makes you different and gives you those opportunities. Like we always say, you can't please everybody. And so if you're trying to do that, it's just going to be impossible. and it's just going to be such a crush on your mental health.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start with that too, because I feel like not everybody is in the modeling industry per se, but there's such a big emphasis on how you show up in a social media space. So really every time young girls are posting photos or videos on TikTok, like that is modeling, if you think about it. Like they are trying to look a certain way to get likes or whatever that is. So I just feel like it's so important to remember like the mental health aspect and take breaks when you need and just like reflect on, be who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. It's a good place to start.
So what inspired you to start your wellness blog, and have you always had this growing up, or kind of like what does that story look like for you?
Yeah, I try to share the story in the most concise way possible. But I think, so I started modeling at a young age. And so my interest, if I'm completely honest, was around weight loss. How can I be as skinny as possible? That's where it started. So I remember 17, 18 years old doing all these really weird diets. I did like the Special K diet, if you guys remember what that was. I did this weird, I was just trying to be as thin. And I mean, I cared about my health, but it was more so about being thin and fit for modeling. This was, over a decade ago. I had a lot of health issues. I had really bad gut issues growing up. I was on acid reflux medication from a very young age. I had allergy, asthma. I was getting allergy shots. I had an asthma inhaler. And once I got to college, I mean, we grew up in the era, like for most of us, our parents, like that's what you were taught. It was like, if you have a problem, you go to the doctor, you take medications, right? So that was the only solution. And as I got on my own, when I got into college, I just started to be like, I don't want to take all these medications every day. Like medicine has its place, but I just don't want to rely on them to just get through my day. Like there has to be another way, right? So I started it, I got into essential oils and back then there weren't as many resources. Obviously we had the internet, but there weren't as many resources readily available. So a lot of it was trial and error, doing all these weird recipes and weird DIY things. But I was able to get myself off of all the medications I was taking, and I was able to heal my gut. And then once I got into corporate America, I got really interested in how can I get through the day without needing to drink 4 cups of coffee? And how can I sleep better? I've always been obsessive about sleep. And so it just kind of snowballed a little bit. And I also started to become more interested in nutrition from a place of health and not just weight loss, right?
Yeah,
so it was more about how can I just feel good and have energy every day so that I can be good at my job and do all the activities that I do. So that's where it started. I started my blog Holistic in Houston in January 2018, and looking back, I had wanted to start a blog for probably at least 3 years, Alexis. And I waited. If anyone takes anything from this, if you have an idea, do it. Start. Yeah, just start it. I wish I had started sooner, and because now it's I see how far I've come. But I started it, and it really was a chemical-free living blog. That's how I started. So if you go back to some of my old blog posts, it's all about chemical-free living, essential oils, and I have posts about how to sleep better, how to, heal your gut, how to get how I got off of acid reflux medications and things like that. And then, we can dive in more, but it's evolved since then.
Yeah, there's so much to what you just said, and you rapid fire went through it. So first of all, we're so similar. I resonate with so much in your story, but just something as simple as you having self-awareness to want to heal your own body instead of continuing to take the meds you were on for acid reflux and allergies, because I was on the prescription allergy medicine too. And when it kind of takes that awareness to make a change, right? And then you made a change and you felt better. And to me, when you feel better, that catalyst makes you want to keep going, and it makes you then want to look at more ways to improve your own health, and how then to feel better in other areas. Yeah. So there's so much to take away from that, that you did a lot of work there. I know that was a journey for you.
Yeah. Big journey. And also, side note, what you just said about how it makes you feel better, and then you want to look at other things. I was taking these prescription allergy meds. Well, lo and behold, allergies are very connected to our gut. So in healing my gut, it's I healed one thing and I was wait, now I feel better in this area. And you just become really curious, and then you want to share.
Well, and exactly. And that's probably why you're so interested in holistic health, because you start to connect the dots and see what things were connected. And maybe, you did do the essential oils and some of those things really help. But deep down, once you healed your gut, that was the true root.
Yep.
So that's crazy. And that's probably why you're such a good holistic health coach.
I try.
When you have to do it for yourself, you're so much better equipped to help others. So that's kind of how you started your blog. And then you shifted into health coaching. So when was that moment that you were I want to get a certification to coach others? Because you were sharing a lot.
I was sharing a lot. I was doing influencer stuff. So if you flash forward a couple years to like 2020, I was, my social media following was growing. My blog was growing. I was doing more influencer stuff, and people were reaching out to me asking like, hey, can I just pay you to do like a consult and help me figure out like what I need to eat? So I didn't know what coaching was. I mean, I'd heard of a life coach before, but I didn't really know what that was. But I was already kind of coaching. I didn't realize what I was doing. It was more like giving people meal plans. So more like a non-certified nutritionist, I suppose, because coaching is different than, just giving people meal plans. But that's where it started. And then I specifically remember I was at a modeling gig actually with one of my friends, Shay Young. And she was like, yeah, I just got my health coaching certification. And I was like, what's that? And she was like, yeah, I'm a certified health coach. Like I'm blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I think that's what I'm doing now, but I didn't know that was a thing. So she sent me her information for IIN where I got my certification, and it just felt really aligned. Then the pandemic happened. Like that was like February 2020. Then March 2020 happened, and everything happened with the pandemic. And I thought this is the perfect time.
Wait, are you serious? Wait. Did we talk about this when we were like, I think we were in it at the same time?
I don't think we talked about that.
What month did you start?
I think I started in May of 2020, maybe.
I started in February of 2020.
So I think you were before me.
So I started a little bit at IN before you, but because I guess the way they do the classes or the Facebook groups is maybe the month you start.
Yeah, I don't remember. Actually, it may have even been June or July. I don't know. It was sometime in the summer that I started.
Crazy.
Because I waited a little bit.
Yeah.
Because she told me and I was like, oh, this sounds interesting, whatever. And then it was like, once I realized the pandemic wasn't gonna go away anytime soon, I was like, all right, work slowed down a lot. I got nothing to do. I just came out of a relationship. I was like, this is a good time to just do this. So that's when I did it.
Same.
Yeah.
Like had a breakup in January. COVID hit and I was like, well, I've always wanted to do a holistic health coach shirt. And so I don't even remember how I heard. I can't remember exactly. I think it was just like you, like a friend or a friend of a friend or somebody, or I heard Melissa Wood Health say it. Who knows?
Yeah.
And I looked into it. I was like, this is the perfect time. And it really was, because people were so much more interested in health during the pandemic to try to protect themselves or prevent it any way they can. Like there was actually a shift to focus on preventative instead of so much reactive and pharmaceuticals, because there wasn't a vaccine or a pharmaceutical yet for COVID.
Yeah.
So I was like, shoot, what can I do? I want us to talk a little bit about IAN.
Yes.
So we both got our holistic health coach certification for IAN, and I loved that it was holistic. So I think we covered 12 pillars?
Yeah.
12 pillars around wellness, I'll say. Beyond nutrition and exercise, there was like career, financial, relationships, and I love that about it. And I also love that if you love wellness, they have people on there that you will love. So Melissa Wood Health, who else did they have that you love? Gabby Bernstein, Dr.
Deepak
Chopra, Dr. Oz, Dr. Axe, one of those.
Yeah.
Will Cole.
Yeah. So, and the guy who's like the father of paleo, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was great too.
I love that they integrate those speakers in. It's phenomenal. So I did the 6-month program, you did the year, so you can kind of make it work for your time that you have. And they have the general holistic health coach certification if you want to do it for you or to coach, but they also have specializations such as hormone or gut. So that's awesome. You can refer Alexis Musso or Haley Fountain and they will give you a discount and go get it. Yeah. So refer one of us at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, IIN. On Instagram, it's Nutrition School. Thanks, y'all.
COVID was the best thing that happened to my business, honestly, because I had so much more time to dedicate and I was so consistent with all my social media content. My Instagram following blew up during that time. I doubled my email subscribers and all my brand deals and stuff. Like it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Sometimes hardships are a gift.
Yeah,
truly.
It was great.
Yeah, I love that. So now that you've been coaching for a while, what is the most common thing that clients come to you for or are struggling with?
I want to answer that in 2 ways.
Sure.
I'm going to tell you what they come to me for, but what the actual problem is.
Okay, good point.
Because it's 2 different things. So usually they come to me for hormonal issues and or weight loss. Most of my clients always have a weight loss goal. I don't like the word weight loss. I'm going to say they want to change their body composition.
Yeah, that's fair.
I prefer that term.
It's a good start.
Yeah, which is there's nothing wrong with wanting to change your body composition, by the way. You can be healthy and love yourself and want to change your body composition. That's usually why they come.
It opens the door.
Yeah, it opens the door. There's that, and it's usually hormonal because I specialize in hormonal health. So that's why they're usually finding me, is through my, my content or whatever. But almost all the time I realize there is nervous system dysregulation, the relationship with themselves, their self-worth, the story, the narratives they're telling themselves about their life are what actually need to be addressed. It's not that they need to change what they're eating. There's certainly areas that can improve, but I quite often I have some clients who come to me that struggle with consistency in their exercise and nutrition routines, whatever. They don't need another meal plan. They need mindset work. And that's where the coaching comes in. And that's what makes it different than being a nutritionist, and I've had clients who work with me, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what I tell you to eat or whatever, or what exercise, until we get to the root cause of these limiting beliefs that you've created, this narrative you're telling yourself about yourself and your body and your life, you're not going to get better. So we have to address that first. So it's usually nervous system regulation brought on by chronic stress and or micro or macro traumas, and it's their relationship with themselves that need to be addressed first before we can address the body composition.
And that's what I love about you. I think you're really good at tuning in and listening and hearing where the people are struggling. Like, they don't even hear it in themselves, but you can pick it up and then help with them with that. And that's why I asked you about the mental health from modeling, because for some reason I think you're really in tune with it, and that I feel like has a piece to play because you went through it as well. So that's crazy, because it does come a lot back to mental and mindset. You've got to, want to change your mind to then change your body.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say that.
I agree. You
change your mind to change your body. Is that the phrase?
You got to change the story that you're telling yourself.
Change your mind, change your life.
Like, I've had clients who are like, they're coming in and they're like, I struggle with being consistent. I said I was going to do this and I didn't, whatever. And they're like, I'm not consistent. And I'm like, that's not true. You are consistent. You show up every week for our session. So you are consistent. So stop telling yourself that. Stop telling yourself that you can't get better, because if that's what you've decided, then you're right.
Yeah, true. And the more you repeat a belief, it becomes like a true fact to you.
Yes.
Right. So if you keep telling yourself you're not consistent, you will believe that as a fact versus actually like flipping the script.
Right.
That reminded me of something, and I suddenly can't remember. Don't you hate that?
It makes me think of and Joe Dispenza talks about this, 90% of the thoughts that we have are the same as the day before. For most of us. So we're having these repetitive thoughts every day. And again, if you have these negative thought patterns about yourself, these limiting beliefs, we really have to tune into and be like, what am I saying to myself? Like, a lot of the things, I did this with myself, and I still catch myself doing it. And I catch myself and I'm like, whoa. If this was my friend, would I be telling her this? No. Yeah. Why am I saying this to myself?
True. And that reminds me of what I was thinking. It's so hard to make a change the first few times, but you just have to stick with it. Because for me, it's so easy. And for a lot of people, right? It's so easy you've worked, you get home, you just want to turn the TV on with dinner, and then suddenly the night's gone, right? And so I'm always telling myself, I really want to turn this off at 9 and read for a little bit and do my wind down routine, but sometimes that time creeps a lot, and I'm like, why is this so hard? Well, I'm making it hard on myself. Just count down, I always say, count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit it off, work it out. Yeah, the 5-second rule or whatever, because you've got to do that the first several times just to make the change.
Yeah.
And then it gets easier, and then it becomes the positive habit. But to break a normal habit or a bad habit and change it into a positive, the first few times is going to be hard.
It's tough.
And you have to remind people that, which is why it's good that you do several weeks or months of coaching, because that helps people kind of get over the hurdle. And I know that's why we don't love to do a one-time consult or one-time session, because you really need that accountability to get through that breakthrough.
Right.
Yeah. So that does remind me too. So when I had done IIN, and then I also did the yoga inspired life training that Shayla Quinn offers. I don't know if you've ever seen her. She's a dime. But that training was really great, because the big focus of the yoga inspired life was how to live, incorporate yoga into your life to be more yogi, I guess, but also she went through a lot of limiting belief training. So like, what are your limiting beliefs that you're telling yourself, and how can you flip that to create the life that you desire, and let yoga help you kind of come back to that every day. And so I found that really honestly powerful. So I love that you're saying all this. And I think that kind of connects the dots to maybe why you started to get into yoga as well. So how did you, like, you were coaching and then realized, I really like yoga and it's going to add value to my coaching. So how did you get into all that? You recently got your training.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been practicing yoga for a decade, not super consistent, but at least once a week. But I mean, I do other forms of exercise too. But actually, I also was very interested in meditation. And it's so funny because as much as I love teaching yoga, the meditations and the sound bowls, that's where I really just feel like this is my calling in life, you know? But I had wanted to do it for a while, but I have a full-time job. I have a corporate job, and I was, running my business. I was in IIN. I did the year-long health coaching program. Then I did the 9-month hormonal health program. And so I kept missing the trainings. I knew that I wanted a way to really tie in the nervous system regulation. I felt like that's what was missing. I felt like a lot of the everything I learned in my health coaching certification was so helpful around physical, mental, spiritual health, but that nervous system regulation is what I wanted to tap into. And that you can, you do that by getting into the body, right? Somatic experiencing. So that's where the yoga came in. And I also wanted to deepen my own practice as well. And I know you can, like, a lot of people will do YTT and they don't even teach, they just do it for themselves. And I knew I wanted to do it with my friend Alexandra, shameless plug at Soul Tribes. She's the owner of Soul Tribes. I wanted to do it with her. So I actually waited because I wanted to do it right when I finished my hormonal health certification, but she didn't do her next YTT until recent year. Yeah. Cause I did it over the last winter. So the moment she opened it up in like summer of last year, I was the first person to sign up, but I was like paid in full. I'm like, I'm in. And, I just knew, and hers is a YMTT. So yep. I knew I'd get that meditation, which I already was doing guided meditations, but I wanted to learn from her because her meditations are incredible. So anyways, it was really just about selfishly for my own practice, and then being able to offer some help with nervous system regulation and helping women get into their bodies, and yoga is such an amazing way to do that. So that's why I was interested in yoga.
I love that. I really like that you do the meditation and sound bowls. Obviously, we have you come and do that at several of our events because you're just amazing at it and have such a great voice. I love the time you did like the inner child meditation where we were seeing our younger selves in like, I don't know, some really scenic place, but you really transported me there, and it's attributed to like how good you are at that.
Oh, thanks.
So speaking of nervous system regulation, maybe I find this is very common. I agree. Like, what is throwing our nervous systems off, and what are some top tips that maybe people can take home and do like from this podcast to regulate?
Yeah. So your central nervous system, you can think of it as like your fight or flight response. It's like your primal response that takes in all this information consciously and mostly subconsciously. So you're not even really aware of it, of like basically trying to perceive threats and keep you alive. So it's a really good thing. The nervous system response is a good thing. We have two responses. We have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic response is your fight or flight. So whenever your body feels like it's stressed, you're going to be ready to either run away or fight or freeze. And then now it's freeze or fawn as well. And then your parasympathetic is your rest and digest, when your body's like, we're safe. We can allow all of our systems to work really well. Everything today, we are bombarded with things that throw our nervous systems off. I mean, it was designed primally to protect you if you're running from a tiger, right? Now you're sitting in traffic, Houston traffic, on the way home every day. But the thing about it is our body our nervous system cannot differentiate between a psychological stressor and a physical stressor. So when you're sitting in Houston traffic, your body thinks you're running from a saber-toothed tiger. It does not know the difference. So we have all these micro stressors throughout our day. Especially because we're accessible 24/7 with work now, and deadlines and trying to meet social events. I mean, it's so hard to be it's hard to be anybody these days, but like it's hard to just do everything, right? And social media, you get on social media and you see so-and-so got married and you just went through a breakup and now you feel like crap about yourself, and you just have all these micro stressors. So our nervous systems are just constantly being bombarded with stressors.
Yeah. And I kind of like, to your point, like anything stressing you or raising your cortisol is also sending you into sympathetic fight or flight. And so like the lights, the screens, the pings or notifications that you get on your watch, on your phone, on your computer.
Yeah.
News. What else? Even like really loud music. Like I love like a good pump up music.
Noise pollution,
light pollution. It's
EMFs.
You're bombarded EMFs,
radiation from our phone.
So it's honestly really challenging to regulate your nervous system. So what do you recommend?
So the first one is somatic experiencing, which somatic is just getting into the body, right? So breathing is so important. Like I threw out, you just took a deep breath as I said that.
I know,
like,
anytime someone says breathe, I'm like, let me breathe.
Like once you've been a yogi and you've practiced for a while, you tend to like, throughout the day, take deep breaths. But for a lot of us, we're breathing very shallow in our chest. So simply just a few times a day, you can set a timer on your phone to remind you, taking a few deep belly breaths.
I know. Don't be afraid to let that belly come out.
Let it hang out. And doing that a few times. There's a few like acupressure points. So like the temples are a really great place to help regulate the nervous system. Massaging around your ears, because you have a ton of nerve endings around your ears and on your ears. So it can be really relaxing, the earlobes in particular. Singing actually, because you have the vagus nerve is the largest nerve in the central nervous system. So when you activate that, it'll activate the parasympathetic response. So
we're humming,
chanting, or like going actually like vibrates that nerve, which is really good. Singing, whatever. So those are probably a few, and you can also like prime your nervous system and your body for stress through things like cold plunge, which I know you love, like hot and cold therapy, things like that. But I'd say, starting out with just deep belly breathing and some humming or singing could really help. And then, hitting some of these pressure points, self-touch, you get a little boost of oxytocin. So you get a boost of oxytocin, which is going to help balance the nervous system by hugging someone you love. You can also get it by hugging yourself.
I love that you always say that. That's one of your things.
Yeah.
I love
yourself
that.
a hug.
I feel like walking outside, like sunshine is good. You've heard me say a lot. I know these things like cost money, but massage, acupuncture, a PMF bed is also great, or even a light bed, because you normally have to put your phone down.
Yes.
And so it's just like you getting into your body and like resting your mind, hopefully, for a moment. Because I'm not as good with like forcing myself to sit down for a meditation. So those kind of force me out of my routine.
Yes.
It's so funny what you say about humming and singing. I've known that, and I've noticed over the years that, I used to sing in the car a lot. And I mean, I love my voice when it sounds good. And so like I used to do that all the time in college and stuff. And now like I'll go days maybe without singing in the car, especially because sometimes I do listen to a podcast, or I just change it up more now.
Yeah.
And so like suddenly a good song will come on and I'll start singing. It's almost like crackly or raspy, or it's like it's not coming through, and I can almost tell it's like my vagus nerve hasn't been stimulated in a few days to like hum or whatever, so I kind of have to be like and like make it come back.
Warm it up.
Yeah. So I really want to try to sing more like I used to. That one's one I've wanted to work on a little bit, or I want to come over when you're playing piano and
someone's thinking of me. I think that's what they say if your earring pops off.
For those watching on YouTube, Haley's earring just straight up fell off.
I think it's supposed to be like good luck, or it means something. I don't know. People can tell us.
Well, they're butterflies, so they're definitely good luck. That's butterflies. That.
Yeah, it's my spirit symbol.
Pink cars are
cute.
your spirit symbols.
Yes.
I love that. What are some books you're reading right now that you would recommend?
Ooh,
I've been meaning to ask you this. I just threw that in there.
One of the books I've read it like 5 times, or I do it on audiobooks. I like to, certain books I like to listen to, certain ones I like to read. Manifest by Roxie Nafousi. Oh my gosh. Anytime I'm in a funk, I go back to that book.
I'm writing this down.
I've read it. I've listened to it probably a minimum of 5, maybe more times. I think if you are spiritual and you just really want to incorporate a simple, grateful, positive mindset, and to help you kind of stay forward focused and like embrace the present, but also like focused and like know that what you want is coming to you, I highly recommend that book.
What's it? Say it one more time. Manifest
by Roxie Nafousi. Roxie. And she's British too. I love listening to audiobooks with British people because I love their voice. It's just really nice. Everything sounds more elevated. So that's one. Another one I just finished, a Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control. If you're a recovering perfectionist like myself, I give that book to my clients. So I kind of rent it out to them while we're working together, because we always seem to attract the clients that are going just like us.
Yeah.
And so I give that out to my clients, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, it's like because she breaks down different types of perfectionists, like 5 or 6 different types of perfectionists, because we all think like the typical like type A personality who everything is in order. That's not me. You've seen my apartment. That's not me. But I am a different type of perfectionist. And so we all have different ways that perfectionism shows up in our lives and holds us back, honestly. So that's a really good one. So I like mindset
Is that book
books.
pink?
I think it's white and pink lettering.
Someone gave me a recommendation, Cam did, for another perfectionist book, and I think it was pink, but...
Okay. I don't know. I think it's like white with some pink on it, or red or something like that. But it's really, really good book. I also just finished another book called Eating by the Light of the Moon, about disordered eating in women. Very informative, and she talks a lot about reconnecting with your feminine essence. So if you have a history of eating disorders, or any sort of disordered eating or relationship with food, I highly recommend that as well.
Okay, those 3 are great. So Manifest by Roxie, Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control, and Eating by the Light of the Moon.
Yes.
So hopefully we can drop those in the show notes. Did you audio all of them, or do you have those?
So Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control, I have the paperback, and then Manifest and Eating by the Light of the Moon I have in audiobooks, but I will probably purchase a paper version of the Eating by the Light of the Moon, so I can also give that to my clients.
Okay, I was like, just because selfishly I'm going to come over and borrow them.
Yeah, you can borrow the Perfectionist one.
I want to come look at them. So, okay. I'm going to just totally switch gears randomly here. And I totally forgot to ask you this about getting hacked. So we've talked about your blog a little bit and your Instagram page, Holistic in Houston. The followers blew up, and then suddenly you kind of got hacked or disabled. And just maybe tell us that story and tell us what you learned from that. Because when our page got hacked this year, I came to you seeking advice because I was crushed. Thankfully we got it back, but I know you had to start over. So
yes.
Can we just get into that? And I know it's happening to a lot of people. So how did it help you actually be better?
So yeah, I had an Instagram account with about 20,000 followers, which, by the way, just side note, it does not matter how many followers you have. Like it's nice because it, for metrics, for brand deals and stuff. For me, it was more about the community. Like I had spent 4 years because this is 2021. So I had spent 3 years building this account and built it up to 20,000 followers. Just not, again, I don't care how many followers I have, but it was more just about like I had built this community and I was very proud of it. It was my baby. And I was making decent money with brand deals. I think I had, so this happened in December 2021 going into January 20. So let's say January 2022, because that's when I found out I wasn't getting the account back. Ugh. But basically, and I didn't actually get hacked. I was posting content about sex trafficking, trying to raise awareness. I was running a charity. I don't know if somebody reported me what happened, but my account got flagged for child sexual exploitation. And this was back whenever, like, and unfortunately at, Instagram, Facebook, Meta, whatever they are, there's nobody you can there's no customer service. Yeah. So I went through the whole process to I forget what you call it, but be like, no, this isn't right. And I don't know what happened. I basically got I went through the queue, I did that, and it said, okay, someone's gonna get back to you in 2 to 3 business days, but it's because of COVID, we're short staffed or something. I got this weird message from them. Mm-hmm. So anyways, long story short, fast forward to January 2022, I realized it had been over a month, and when I went to log in, it literally was like, your account's been permanently disabled. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
Oh my God. And I was like, I think I actually just lost that account. I also had about $2,000 worth of brand deals that were going to go up in December of different things with different companies. And so I had to cancel all of those. I had already created all the content, just hadn't posted it yet. So at the time, I'm not embarrassed to say this anymore, but at the time I was embarrassed because I was like, oh, it's just an Instagram account. But I was legitimately depressed for 2 months after that. January and February 2022 were rough. I was in a dark place. And looking back on that, I learned a few things. One, you cannot put all of your worth or your energy into one thing, because you just think life is so fragile, and things are so fickle that you have to be able to have your sense of self come from more than one thing. And I put so much of my sense of self and worth into being holistic in Houston. Like that was who I was. And so when that account was taken away, as silly as it sounds, I felt like I lost a part of myself.
Yeah, definitely.
So and then I even had a friend who like had a dedicated, she owns a marketing agency and had a dedicated Facebook account manager, and they even tried to investigate it. And for whatever reason, they were like, I don't know what the deal is, but like, we cannot get this account back. We're not getting any answers. So I just finally, by like February 2022, I was like, okay, universe. I was like, God,
I get it.
I was like, I'm so frustrated right now. I don't understand this, but I'm just going to accept that there's a bigger plan than what than what I had in store, that your plan is bigger than mine, God, universe, whatever. And I was like, I'm just going to roll with this. So I gave myself like the rest of February. Then end of February, I was like, well, I'm just going to create a new account. I was like, my motto for myself in life is like, I can't fail if I don't quit. Right. So I was like, well,
love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
I was like, I felt like a failure. I felt like I'd lost everything, but I was like, no, I can't fail if I don't quit. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to make a new account. Doesn't matter if I have 100 followers or 100,000. I am here to help people. My mission is bigger than me and bigger than my ego, so I can start over. And I will tell you, Alexis, but I will tell you that first 6 months when I had like 200 followers, again, it's not about the amount of followers, but like trying to stay motivated when you're used to having all these people engaging with your content and all these people DMing you, and then going to like, it's like crickets. It was tough. And I remember multiple times crying to my sister being like, I just don't know if I can keep doing this. Like, again, it doesn't matter how many people are out there, but like when you're so used to having such a big audience and then all of a sudden it feels like nobody's listening to you anymore. And I was like, it was crushing, but I also had a chance to pivot and rebrand because I was feeling really pigeonholed in the type of content I was doing on my old page. And now I was like a beginner again. I could start from scratch. That fresh slate to like do whatever I wanted and rebrand and create content in a way that felt meaningful for me, not that was driven by brands. And so that was really helpful. And I started to zero in more on hormonal health content as well, which I had kind of started doing, but I was doing a little bit of everything. So I was like, I'm going to rebrand. I'm going to come back. I'm just going to talk about hormone health, and I'm just going to be a health coach. And now, flash forward to now, I'm still doing some brand deals here and there. And actually, I can tell you, flash forward, I continued, even though it was very tough, to keep just showing up every day, sharing content. And then I was like, it also was a lesson. You can't just rely on social media for your business. I started investing more energy into my website, my SEO, so that I come up on Google, things like that. So that was a big lesson for me.
Okay. That's good. That's good advice for us.
Yeah. You can't just rely on social media. You have to diversify. Email list. Now if you Google Houston Health Coach, my website comes up on the first page.
Dang.
So I invested time and energy into making sure, and I get clients from Google, so it's great. So I did that. And I also was like, all right, like I'm a big believer too, is like the things that happen to us are God puts us through those because we're there to help other people get through that. And so like whenever you went through that, I was like, girl, I got you. There's a reason this is happening. You don't know it yet. And looking back, Alexis, that was the best thing that ever happened to me because it forced me to really evaluate where I was getting my sense of self from and my worth and what I had to offer. And I'm so grounded now in what I have to offer as a coach and as a person that if that happened to me again now, I'd be like, cool, I'll start over again. I don't care. Like literally, I have no ego about how many followers I have anymore. I have no ego about like, I know what I have to offer. And I am so grounded in who I am as a health coach and what I can do for others that I don't care. So good feeling.
I love that. And it's just such a good reminder to hear that story. That quote is phenomenal. I can't fail if I don't
I don't know where I heard that, but that's like that was my motto last year because I had a really rough year for beyond just that. Multiple things. I got laid off. I went through a bad breakup. I got laid off from my corporate job. Like it was a rough year. And I just kept telling myself like, I'm just going to keep crawling forward in every area of my life. I'm going to keep working on myself, keep working hard. I can't fail if I don't quit.
It's such an important lesson. And everything you just said was like personal struggles, and everybody has struggles, but even on social media, it may look like everything's going well. So just letting people know that as a reminder of that. So I love that. I feel like it was good for us too, because we did lose like some older content, but because it's a scrapbook, so it always like upsets me. But we had 2 or 3 events during that time when our page was down, and people still showed up. And it was just so heartwarming to know that we were bigger than social media. It was about the community, and the people still showed up for us, and people in our community helped us try to get it back. And so again, everything you're saying, like it helps you kind of reground in what your purpose and intention is, and reevaluate like where your worth is coming from, and all those things. And we should get a game better on our website. We love our Eventbrite because that helps a lot. We do get
you guys have a lot of followers on Eventbrite.
I know, it's like everyone loves to follow our Eventbrite, which is great. And a lot of people from out of town who moved to Houston, I don't even know how because we don't have an SEO person, but I might hire one. But they'll be like, oh yeah, I just moved here and I was Googling, wellness groups, communities, classes, things like that in Houston. And like y'all's Eventbrite popped up or social pop, like, I don't know where they were searching, but things popped up and they like showed up to an event. I'm like, that's so awesome that we are a place that people can move here. And I'm trying to think, like, one of our friends, well, now friends, she had moved here and didn't know anybody. And I actually really just want to find this quote from her real quick because it was like so pretty. If I can, let's see what service we got in here. So she said, let's see. Thank you for creating such an amazing community. I told Whitney, but I wanted to share that my experience in Houston changed radically after joining Wellness for Hugh. Went from 0 friends to many friends, and I can't thank y'all enough. And I'm sure you get messages like that all the time for helping people, and that keeps us going because that we know the impact it had on somebody when they give us that feedback.
Yeah, it is. And those, I mean, I consider you and I and maybe a handful of others like pioneers for wellness in the Houston area. Because it, like Austin, Texas, like you just walk out your front door and there's so many cool wellness things happening. Houston, you kind of have to go looking for them. They're there, but it's not as easily accessible. And that's the other thing too I want to mention about losing my Instagram is I had really wanted to do more in-person events, but I was so bogged down with doing influencer stuff. And as much as like influencer stuff is fun, it can be lonely because you spend your weekends like shooting content and you don't necessarily get to hang out with like do things with the wellness community. So another thing I did when I decided to pivot, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put more energy into hosting events and creating experiences for people, which is actually a huge passion of mine. And again, just so many things, everything happens for a reason. There is a golden thread that has carried you to the moment that you're in now. And you have to trust that it's going to continue to carry you through the rest of your life, Well,
I'm so glad you started events because then we could be like, oh, let's collab. So like you've done sound bowls for us, meditations for us. When you do your yoga and pool, we come out. Like we love coming to your events and we love having you at our events and like vice versa. So we'll have to think of some more fun ones for 2024. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, the years are flying. Like what year are we in? Okay, so I do want to close out with a few just kind of ending questions. So we talked a little bit about the challenges of your business, but really quick, like, I guess, what are the joys of your business? Or would you recommend someone to become a coach or like start their own business or like too much work, scratch all that?
Yes. No, I mean, if you feel called to really help people and you're also willing to go to the depths of your own stuff, because you don't have to be perfect to be a coach. You do not have to be perfect, but you do need to be ready to work on yourself. And I believe you will always attract clients at the level that you are at in your personal development. So the more I continue to work on myself, the better coach I become, the higher quality clients that I attract. When I say higher quality, I mean they're more ready to invest in themselves, more motivated. And like, so the deeper I go with myself, I believe that changes the types of clients I attract. So, and the results that we get. So you have to be ready to really invest in yourself and work on yourself. So if you're ready for that and you feel called to help people, 100% do it. But also I will say entrepreneurship is lonely and it can be, you don't have anybody to pat you on the back except for yourself, which I'm really good at that. You got to be your own cheerleader, but not everyone's good at that. So you don't have like a boss to be like, good job or whatever, or to keep you motivated. You have to keep yourself motivated and accountable.
And I always say, you gotta be willing to not give up and adapt and find solutions because it's not a steady paycheck. It's the work you put in is what you get out and what you generate energy-wise, income or others.
I would also just add to that, if you have a corporate job, don't be so quick to jump ship. Like, take your time building your business before. I'm glad that I do that because I can still live my bougie lifestyle while building my business.
Yes, we still have our corporate jobs. So what are 3 or like however many you want non-negotiable like wellness things in your daily routine?
Ooh, hydration. I hydrate first thing in the morning and I really prioritize staying hydrated. Some sort of mindfulness activity. So I try to meditate every day. Some days I don't have a chance to meditate in the morning. I prefer to meditate in the morning, but I don't always get a chance to, but I always do my gratitude journal in the morning. I write down 3 things I love about myself, 5 things I'm grateful for, and 5 things I'm looking forward to. That is a non-negotiable every single day, no matter what I'm doing or where I am, if I'm traveling, whatever. So that sort of mindfulness activity, some form of movement. So even if it's just going for a walk, I have to move. What else?
Whilst you think, can we just give Rico a shout out?
My dog.
Your dog.
He's the best.
He does the morning gratitude with you. He sits like right next to you.
He's the best.
And when you do your meditation or your sound bowls, he's so chill.
He's like the most chill dog ever, because we just sit around and kumbaya and play sound bowls and meditate all day. And I like burn my Palo Santo, and
I swear he's the best dog, and I attribute it to your like meditation and sound bowl healing.
No, it totally is. Yeah, our animals are definitely a reflection of our energy. And that's the thing. I think having a dog is super helpful. But yeah, getting some sunshine in the morning, getting some movement, drinking water, doing my gratitude, working on my mindset in some way. I'd say those are probably my non-negotiables.
Awesome. I love when we did the 8-week holistic Houston Gals Wellness Program. I'm surprised we didn't even cover that.
So busy.
We're so busy. I forget all the things that we do. But we did do 8 topics over 8 weeks with in-person gals in Houston. And we'll have to see, if we get another opportunity to do that. But we met some amazing people. I want to have Kale from Pump and Crunch, who did the meals for us on the nutrition one.
Yeah.
So, that was great. If we get some more feedback that people want that again, let us know. So what does wellness mean to you at the end of the day?
Oh, that's a good question. What does wellness mean to me? I think it's just about being the best version of myself every day. But every day it's going to look different, right? Some days I have 100% to give, and I talked with one of my clients a couple of days ago about this. Some days you have 100% to give, and when I say to give in terms of the energy you put into your exercise, your wellness, whatever, some days you only have 50% to give, and if you give 50%, it means you've actually given 100% because you only had 50% to give, right?
That's true, yeah.
So it's about being the best version of yourself and giving the best of you to yourself and to others.
Yeah, especially for women, depending what phase you're in. 50% may be the 100% you can give.
Yeah, when you're menstruating, you might only have 25%.
Okay, so you're gonna have to come back on so we can talk all about hormone health. Yeah. We just skirted way past that. There's so much we could talk about. I'm trying to think, where can we find you, Haley?
Yeah, so I'm super active on Instagram. I'm at holistic_in_Houston. My website, holisticinhouston.com. Lots of free resources around women's health, hormonal health, things like that. All my events are on there. Probably the 2 best places. My personal Instagram is at Haley Fountain, just all one word. It's where I post more of my modeling and acting content. So yeah.
Anything else you want to add before we close out?
No, just stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated with electrolytes and minerals.
All the things.
Well, thank you so much, Haley. It's been a joy to have you on and become friends with you the past few years. And I can't wait to do more events and things and just create and pioneer wellness here in Houston.
Me too.
Thanks girl. Love you.
Love you.